Hi, welcome to Adventuring for Knowledge. This is Adventure Call number 1.
Guess what? This is Adventure Call number 2.
And what comes after 2, Manny?
Is it 3?
Yep, you got it. It's Adventure Call number 3.
Last call. Welcome to our podcast.
It's adventure time. And we're live.
And we're live, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, this is an exciting episode.
Very exciting. Brody's very excited.
I'm excited about this just because of how it came to.
It is.
And
very
so
exciting.
I'm going to introduce our guest, Judy Moscovitz. How do I pronounce it?
Moscovitz.
Moscovitz.
I
Was
tease
I
it.
saying Moscovitch?
Yeah, that's another way of, but that's not my family.
Moscovitz.
Right.
Moscovitz.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I met Judy over the phone when I got a call. I had a missed call. And I looked at the number and I didn't recognize the number. And Judy and I were talking about this before off record. And I called back the number and this woman answered the phone. And I said, hi, I have a missed call from this number. Were you trying to reach me? And then I introduced myself and she didn't know who I was. And then we were trying to figure out, we went through a few different kind of questions of trying to figure out who I was and why you were calling me and why I was calling you. And we came to, after maybe 10 minutes of trying to figure out what happened, I realized Manuel put an ad in the paper and attached my phone number to the ad. And then here we are.
It all happens for a reason.
Yeah, and when I was talking to Judy on the phone, I asked her the question, what excites you? Remember that?
Yeah.
What excites you nowadays? And you said that's a good question because that's exactly what you're trying to figure out. Mm-hmm. And I remember you answered and you said you felt obsolete and you're trying to figure out as an older person on the different stage of your life, how do you engage in the community? How do you get involved with different ways, right? You want to spend your time in a positive manner, correct?
I like to do meaningful work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
I feel that fuels everyone. Well, at least me, yeah.
Exactly. And so I asked her, okay, and you also expressed that you had knowledge to share. And I said, okay, what kind of knowledge? And you said, I know how to make people lose weight. And that's all she said. And as a skeptic, people could be critical to someone just saying that over the phone, and that's all they're saying. You can judge them on like who they are. You don't know who they are. And this is all that Judy said. And Judy gave me her info about her website. And after we hung up, I went online and I looked up Judy Moscovitz. And to my pleasure, I found that you have a very high profile and you were very humble and you didn't introduce yourself like that. And I had the same conversation 20 minutes ago with you off record, but I had a lot of respect for you and people like you that are just humble and just want to get involved and they don't really talk about what they've done. And that's what I felt even more connected to you after we finished talking by just learning that.
There's not a lot of people in this world that you can connect in such a deep value without even seeing each other. And I feel like you have connected with Brody. Clearly, he just went on
because I was
3 minutes
you excited me for that,
right? So
They tell me that all the time, Brody.
That's awesome.
And today is also a very special day because we're introducing Andres Agresot. He's a co-host for this summer. Hello, Andres.
Hello.
Hey, Andres.
Hi.
He's a friend of ours.
Are you excited to be here?
I am excited, yeah.
We're excited to have you because he was going to join us at the very beginning when we started this project, but he was just immersed in school and it wasn't making sense. Yeah. But now that he has free time and Here he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he'll be coming in, and hopefully we'll all integrate our thoughts and our ideas together.
I'm going to just say something here, and that's to correct. You said I make people lose weight.
You have the
You can't make people lose weight.
yeah.
I do try to help people lose weight. And if people are willing, that's the bottom line for me. If they're willing to do what has to be done, they can easily lose weight.
Yeah.
That's it.
really because
Nice.
it comes from yourself.
Well, they have to
is what
do
you're
the
saying.
work. That's
Right.
the bottom
That's
line.
within.
Yeah.
Totally.
And that's with anything. You can't make anyone do anything.
That's
you can
right.
show them the tools to
Yeah.
do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is up to
Yes.
them to do it.
You're right.
I agree. So without further ado, welcome. It's a beautiful,
Thank you very much.
beautiful day. Sunday is our second recording for the day. It's very exciting.
Yeah, we were up at 6 recording with my cousin in Ontario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting where this adventuring for knowledge is leading, and how you contacted us was incredible, and we'll get into it. So, with the first thing that I want to know is what motivated you to call us.
I was reading the newspaper and I saw this little ad in the classified section, and it drew my attention. It was interesting. All it said was adventuring
For knowledge.
For knowledge.
adventuring for knowledge, and I thought, well, what is that? And and since I like to adventure for knowledge too, I just phoned, and nobody answered. I left my name and phone number, and then of course by the time you called me, I'd forgotten all about it. But I was curious, and my recollection of our conversation is, you started to tell me a bit about it, and I asked you, what motivates you? Because I wanted to know where you're coming from. People are very often in things because of money, or for purposes other than altruistic, or I'm interested in making a difference. And when I heard what motivated you, I became even more interested, and here I am.
Oh, well, thank you. And just, I want to ask this, if you don't mind, how old are you?
I'm 77.
77.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I bet you have tons of life experience and
I
knowledge.
have 77 years.
Combined more than all three of us
Yeah,
together.
really.
Before you were born, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
25, 23.
25.
That's
50,
15.
Yeah.
73.
Oh my God, we're the same age, and we combined us
77.
together.
She's 77.
Oh,
He has
oh my God, no way.
way more knowledge than us.
Yeah.
100%. So,
And that's really why one of the reasons why I don't start off by saying, oh, well, I've done this and that, because I've first of all, it was a long time ago that
Yeah.
I did this and that. And secondly, I figure if you have to tell people who you are, you can't be very important. Like if you're important, people know you're important.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you have to tell them you're important, you can't be very important.
but I feel like everyone out there is important. Everyone has their
exactly.
own skills and
Yeah.
knowledge, and it's
Yeah.
And
talking
contribution to the community.
to the community.
or their community that they live in.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, let's step into your past, if
Yeah.
you don't mind.
No, any question, I answer any question at all.
Yeah.
Yep, I like being asked personal questions.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
That's all what we're all about.
Yeah.
So, did you grow up here in Victoria?
No, I'm from Montreal.
Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was born there.
Really? What
Yeah.
part of town?
Well, I wasn't born there, but my sister was born there, and then
Yeah.
Longueuil.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, very
NDG.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And from there, you lived your childhood there?
I lived in Montreal until I was 42, and then I went to North Carolina to go on a very famous diet that
Yeah.
they did at Duke University for over 70 years.
Yeah.
And I was overweight. I had been overweight pretty much all my life from early childhood, and I was miserable about it all the time.
And you were 40 at the time?
I was 42, I believe, when I went to North Carolina.
Yeah.
And I ended up losing 140 pounds, and I ended up staying there and working on the program. I did workshops, and I gave talks and took blood pressures.
Yeah.
So I ended up living there for 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did you heard about this?
It's a very famous diet. It's called the rice diet, and like I said, they did it for over 70 years.
Yeah.
And the doctor who developed it won the gold medal from the American Heart Association. People came from all over the world to go on that diet. You had movie stars and
Yeah.
politicians and gangsters. You had
so it was
people came
big.
from all over to lose weight or for health reasons, because the diet delivered in both ways.
I'm curious to know what was the turning point that made you move to North Carolina and why?
Well, first of all, I was miserable. I was always on a diet. I was on a diet from the age of 7, and I was always trying to lose weight. I knew about the rice diet for decades. It was very famous. But to pick up and move to another country to go on a diet. And then my mother got sick and was in a coma for 3 months. And I remember sitting in the hospital with her, and she was just lying there. And I thought, I'm going to North Carolina. I don't know, there was something about the juxtaposition of the potential loss of my mother, and I sold everything I owned in the whole world except for my dog and a TV set. I sold my house, I sold all my furniture, I sold all my records, I sold everything I owned because I needed the money to go.
Yeah.
And I went, and I lost 140 pounds in 9 months.
Wow.
And then I ended up staying there and working in the program, and I lived in North Carolina for 15 years.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. That is a life change right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
And at the age of 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, 42 is when I started.
It's never too late to do anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
Oh, honey, I'm 77 and I'm starting new stuff, As long as you have the health and the energy, certainly the interest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when you were in Carolina and you were working for this organization?
Not initially. I was a patient. Mm-hmm. And then after I lost the weight, they asked me to help out.
Yeah.
So I started doing whatever they asked me to do. I never took money. I was grateful to them for everything. Mm-hmm. I have a real problem. If you go to my website, you'll see that I don't charge money for the work that I do.
Really?
No, because people exploit the overweight. Most of the people offering help to the overweight are in it because they think, they're lambs ripe for shearing, because overweight people are desperate to lose weight. Mm-hmm. And so there's a tendency for people looking to make a quick buck to figure out, well, I'll take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. And I very much don't want to be that person. So I will see anybody for free, which is interesting because most people, you'd think people would jump on that.
100%.
But people get suspicious. They think, well, it's for free. There must be something wrong with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
that is so beautiful, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like offering those services, because I know the weight loss industry is massive.
Exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely
it's
massive.
It's a $60 billion a year industry.
$60 billion.
$60 billion
people take
a year.
advantage of it.
That's right.
100%.
That's right.
And the fact that you provide the services with nothing is very humbling. And again, it speaks to your nature of a humble nature. So, oh my God, feeling the chairs.
So,
I'm never leaving here.
So, question. So, you needed to make a living. How did you make a living when you were down there? Or did you just have enough money saved up?
Well, that's a good story. Well, I sold everything to get the money to go there. And by the time I was thin, I had no money. I was out completely. I had less than $2 to my name. Well, 2 things happened. One was I met a wonderful man who we fell in love, and he was helpful. So I'll put it that way. And the other thing was I thought I can write a book about this diet. The rice diet certainly was very famous, and publishers had been after Dr. Kempner. He was the man who developed it, to write a book for decades. And he always said, no, my job is here with my patients. That is not my work. And I approached him one day and I said, can I write a book about the diet? And he was very proud of me. He used to show my before picture to everybody. You can see my before picture on the website, by the way. You want to see what I looked like at 275 pounds and what I look like now. So I asked him if I could write a book about it, and he said yes. So I bought a book called How to Be a Best-Selling Author. That'll tell me how to do it,
It worked though, right?
Well, what that book told you, it listed the name of 10 agents who had represented bestsellers that year. Mm-hmm. And so I sent them all an inquiry. I sent them my before picture, my after picture, told them a bit about myself. Are they interested? Well, there were phone calls and telegrams and within 24 hours, they were hot for it because it was a famous diet and because diet books sell. So they all wanted to represent me. So I decided to go to New York. These were all big-time New York agents. I decided to go to New York and meet with them and decide who I wanted to see. And the one who I went with, when he phoned me to make the appointment, he knew I was coming and I was going to be meeting many. And he said, first of all, he said, I want to be the last one that you meet. And he said, this weekend, buy the New York Times and look at the list of best-selling books. He said, I represent 8 out of the 10 best-selling authors. So I knew right away I wanted to go with him because I wanted to write a bestseller. And that's the way it went. So in terms of how do I make money, I made money with the book.
Yeah.
And the book was on the New York Times bestseller list for 13 weeks.
Wow.
And
So the book about writing books.
I wrote a book about the diet.
The race diet.
Yeah.
No, yeah, 100%. But
Yeah.
it all started with the
With the
book
book
about
about
how to write books.
Successful best-selling books.
Well, it really started with I'm a former teacher and I have a degree in English. So, I knew that I could write the book.
Yeah, 100%.
I knew that I could write it and I certainly had lived it.
Yeah.
So I knew what to say.
So, was the intention with the book to talk about the diet itself, or how it helps people, or what was the focus you took when you?
It was called the Rice Diet Report, and it was my report on this diet. It was
And your experience.
my
with it.
experience with the diet. So it included my background, biographical data, and it also gave you a step-by-step information about how to do it, exactly the way the diet was implemented in North Carolina, so you could do it at home. Because other than that, there was no way of doing it unless you went to North Carolina. Well, how many people
100%.
can do that?
Yeah.
And why was that? Why is it that before people had to go to North Carolina?
Because
to
it
do the
didn't
diet?
exist anywhere else. It wasn't in writing anywhere.
It wasn't in
That's
writing.
why the publishers were after him to write a book. But no, he didn't want to, but he authorized me to.
Wow.
And he was very proud of the success of the book. And,
How humbling of him, too.
he was fantastic. They never raised their fees there. It was like $90 a week,
Yeah.
and $50 a week for the food, which even back then was no money. And he would not raise his fees. He was not money motivated. So I think to some extent, I honor that in him.
100%.
He was something else, Dr. Kempner. I loved
So
him.
you're speaking in past tense. Has there someone taken over his legacy, or what's this?
Well, he died. Of course, he was in his late 80s when I met him. He died sometime in his 90s. One of the doctors who was another doctor working there took it over and ran it for a few years. And it ran up until just a few years ago. I think only about 3 or 4 years ago did they stop doing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a long legacy.
Over 70 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah.
And after you published your book, what happened? Were you impressed by
Well, my life became a lot of fun, because the publishers sent me out on the road,
Yeah.
So I was on Oprah Winfrey, and I was on Face the Nation, and I was on Phil Donahue, and I was on Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
So you were all over
Yeah,
the
so
place.
I have all those tapes. I have all those tapes of me on those shows. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and people asked for my autograph. I mean, it was funny, really.
Well, now we're being added to the list, so that's very
Yeah, all
honoring,
right.
And how long did this journey lasted of going around the country?
Probably 6 months. Like when the book comes out,
Yeah.
they send you around and you're on all the shows.
Yeah.
And the book, I mean, the minute the book came out, it was on the bestseller list. It was on the bestseller list the second it came out. Wow. Because, like I say, it was a well-known diet.
Yeah.
So people, and of course, with all the publicity on these shows, people went out and bought the book. So
yeah.
it sold a few 100,000 copies in hardcover, and then came out in paperback, and then they send you out again around the,
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And then after that journey, the whole entire crazy adventurous journey, what did you do? Did you went back to Carolina? And
I went back to North Carolina. I stayed there. Now we enter a dark chapter. It took me 9 months to lose 140 pounds on the rice diet. I kept it off for 7 years, and then I put it all back on.
Really?
All of it. I went right back up to 275 pounds after 7 years of being thin.
Did you stop doing the diet, or what was the main reason? Yeah, of course.
The traveling as well, I assume, was.
Oh, well, that finished. That was only while the book was, out. And I got very depressed, as you can imagine. And I got into bed and stayed in bed for 3 years.
Wow.
I really just didn't function for 3 years. And wanted to die. Because my whole life was that diet, that way of living, that work. I went back to Montreal prior to that, and I went into private practice putting people on the rice diet.
Yeah.
And I brought in some before and after pictures here if you're curious
Yeah, we
about
saw
people
it, yeah.
who came to me. But then, I was faced with a difficult challenge and ate. And the challenge lasted for a little while, and I continued to eat.
Yeah.
And I put it all back on in a couple of months. It didn't take long to put on 140 pounds again.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So I stayed depressed for a few years, and then slowly came out of it. And then I went on a completely different diet, completely different in every way.
Why
The only
was it?
thing the two diets agreed upon was don't eat dairy. Other than that, they disagreed about everything.
Yeah.
Right? And I lost the weight again.
And what diet was that?
It's a diet that was given to me by my naturopath, who's Dr. Kevin Jackson, who, if I can put in 10,000 good words for him, he's a wonderful healer. So I'll say his name again, Dr. Kevin Jackson in Victoria. And he put me on a diet. I knew people who had been to him, not about weight, because he does primarily health. Anything health related, and of course diet enters into that. I specifically went for weight loss. But I went in with confidence in him because I saw the work that he had done with other people. And he gave me a sheet of paper, and it said, eat this, don't eat that. And that was it. I went out, I did what he told me to do, and I lost the weight all over again. I now am as low as I was on the rice diet.
Wow. How long did it take to
That's
lose
a different
all the weight
story.
the second time?
The second time, I didn't. What I did was I lost 50 pounds, as I recollect, the first year. And so by then I was under 200, which was certainly far from slim, but a lot better than 275. And I sort of thought, well, I look like the average North American. Yes, I'm overweight, but I'm not fat and I'm not depressed about it. And so I really stayed pretty much the same for 2 years because I wasn't motivated.
Yeah.
But then, and you'll be surprised at this, you young men, speaking to the 77-year-old women, I suddenly got interested in men again. Yes, and I thought, well, if that's the case, I better lose weight. And so I got serious again. By serious, I mean I followed it always.
Yeah.
I followed what Kevin told me always. But for a couple of years, I was satisfied staying the same because I wasn't very fat. I was just overweight.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be slim and attractive. So I took it seriously again and knocked off the rest. So I'm down 140 again from my highest. And that's
That's an accomplishment.
Were you here in
itself.
Victoria?
yeah.
And what brought you here? Like,
Yeah. And when
you
did
were all
move
over
here?
the place. Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you move here?
No, I lived in North Carolina for 15 years. And the reason I left, I thought I'd stay there forever, was my insurance carrier changed companies. And I would have had to go for a medical exam again in order to get insurance. Well, I don't know if you know about the American situation of health, but you get sick there and it can wipe you out financially. Very short order.
I went to university
Very different.
in the States.
All
Very
right.
different.
Okay. So I thought, I'm 275 pounds again. There's no way I'm going to get insurance. They're going to turn me down. nor can you go to another insurance company, because if you apply, it always says, have you ever been turned down for insurance? Well, if you tell the truth, yes, I was turned down, or if you lie, I mean, either way. And I thought, I can't afford to get sick here. I'm 275 pounds. I'm probably going to end up with something horrible. I'm going to be wiped out. And so I came back to Canada. I didn't know that I would be so happy to be back.
Yeah.
And and I went to Montreal briefly because my mother had had a stroke. And I stayed there for a while. And then if you've grown up in Montreal, then you know the snow. And the
You're
cold.
like, let's go to the warmest place in Canada.
And that's it exactly. I mean, I was I was used to North Carolina. I thought, there's no way I'm coming back to this.
Yeah.
So I went as far south as I could. And
here we are.
Here we are.
So when you came back to Canada and you transitioned from that depressive state to, back to the weight that you wanted.
Yeah.
Who was there for you? What was the support system you had during those difficult times?
Well, Kevin Jackson, obviously, number one, in that he knew. He told me what to do. That was really all I needed. There's no shortage of diets out there.
Oh, yeah.
But he told me the one that I profoundly believe in. I believe in the rice diet too, but under different circumstances. I would recommend the rice diet if people are in serious health problems, if you're facing dialysis or a heart transplant, and Dr. Kempner would say, if you're in a burning building, get out of it quickly. So I would say if you're facing some crisis of health that you have to take surgical action immediately, the rice diet is the one I would recommend. Or if you're getting married in 2 weeks and your dress doesn't fit, and you want to knock it off quickly.
Rice
All
diet.
right. The rice diet is faster than Dr. Jackson's diet, but it's less sustainable long term. And so if you can't do it long term, and very few can, then I think that Dr. Jackson's recommendations are the way to go. Did I answer the question? I forget the question.
To an extent, I was just curious about the support system you had, helping you transition out of depression during those years.
Oh, well, I started taking meds. That made a difference.
Yeah.
I went on antidepressants, and that made a difference. But I've been off them for decades.
I
reality.
don't believe in pills. Like, if I have pain, I'm not going to take a painkiller.
See, if I have pain, I'll take a painkiller.
Well, Manny, you're 25.
That is true. I am
that's
25.
right. Yeah.
Tell us that at 77.
Yeah, that is true.
And there's pain, and there's pain.
Yeah.
I certainly think medications can be miraculous. I have troubles with some of the things that are pushed, and how things are promoted and sold. I mean, who can look at the crisis today of drugs, which is medical drug,
opioid crisis.
The opioid crisis, which is seemingly a case of greed.
It is.
If you look into
100%.
what's behind it.
Yep.
So I have a trouble with, I'm all in favor of pharmaceuticals wisely prescribed and when needed, for as long as needed. Certainly it has been a godsend to me, but I think one has to be cautious.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree.
I want to dive into what these diets consist of specifically.
Yep. Okay.
Like, what is the rice diet?
The rice diet. This is what you can eat. All fruits, all grains, all vegetables, chicken, fish, turkey, peas, beans, lentils, tofu, eggs, salt-free bread, salt-free pasta. The rice diet, the main thing about the rice diet is that it's sodium-free.
Sodium-free.
Sodium-free, no form of sodium whatsoever, no soy sauce, no salt. Very few packaged or commercial goods are
Sodium-free.
sodium-free. This diet is so sodium-free, we weren't even allowed to lick envelopes because of the sodium in the glue on the envelope.
No way.
All right. So
But you can eat all the things that you list.
you can eat those things, and the quantity didn't much matter. Now, in fact, quantities was very restricted when you were doing the program there.
Yeah.
And that would be one of the things that there are a few things about the rice diet which, if I were advising it today, I would change. I think that to give people 700 or 800 calories a day is not enough to hold off hunger. And if you're hungry, not good. So I would say pretty much eat as much as you want of the things that you're allowed, which are the ones that I mentioned. On the diet that I follow now, okay, which is almost the opposite. I eat any and all meats and animal protein, not butter or dairy. Dairy is out. I eat almost all vegetables, but none of the starches. So no potatoes, no yams.
Interesting.
I don't eat the tropical fruit. No pineapple, no mangoes, no papayas.
Melons.
Higher in sugar. Exactly. Also, once you reach your health and weight goals, you can negotiate back in some of those things. If you, like Dr. Jackson says, if your body is healthy, it can tolerate. So he has a protocol where, for example, if I wanted to have sushi, and I can have most of the contents, but not the rice, so he'll say, well, have a quarter of a cup of rice 2 or 3 times a week and see what happens. And if your body, if you don't react, if your skin doesn't break out, if you don't start sneezing or whatever reaction you have, you can start including it. So it's not necessarily for life. You can negotiate in some of the things that you aren't allowed initially.
So back to the rice diet.
Yeah.
Where does the name originate, or why the rice diet?
The rice diet, Dr. Kempner was a very eccentric man and prided himself on being eccentric. And he called it the rice diet because rice was one of the things that you were allowed from the very beginning. And people begged him, change the name of the diet because it sounds like
You can only eat rice. That was
rice.
That's right.
That was my
It's very
assumption.
misleading. And because it's so misleading, people think of it as a fad diet and they don't even want to hear about it. When they hear that they can eat fruits, grains, vegetables, fish, turkey,
Just
chicken.
avoiding sodium,
But he insisted that that be the name because nobody was going to tell him what to do. But it's been an uphill battle because of that alone. So you ask a good question with an unhappy answer. It's always been called that. It's well known. You can't really change the name now. But people should know that it is not a fad diet. It encompasses a great many foods.
What would you call it?
I would call it the Kempner diet.
The Kempner diet.
I would name it after him and give him the honor due him. He was a wonderful man. And that's what it should be called, the Kempner diet. So let's call it that from now on.
There you go.
All right.
From now on.
The second edition of your book will be called the Kempner diet, right?
It could stand redoing, actually, because there are various changes I would make to it, like the quantity, for example.
Well, why not?
It would be identical, but it would be tweaked.
Why not?
Why not? Well, if anybody out there wants to publish my new Kempner diet, I can write it very quickly and have it for you before bathing suit season.
There you go.
I would be your first buyer.
You don't need it.
Thanks.
That is so interesting. Your life is very interesting. And it is a lot.
Life is so interesting.
Life
Yes, it
overall
You
is
know,
so interesting.
if you
isn't it?
guys think getting older is not interesting, as long as you have your health, and that is what motivates me primarily about my own life and about the work that I want to do. What I want people think of weight loss as vanity in a way.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
You look better. Losing weight, never mind losing weight, let's just say how you eat is transformative. You've seen my before picture, right? You've seen it on the website. I have it with me too, if you're curious. I always carry it.
That's awesome.
How you eat, the food that you put in your mouth is transformative. It affects every second of your life, from how you feel when you wake up to how you breathe to how long you live. It is bottom line important. And that is what my mission in life is.
Longevity.
In one way or no, to teach this and to show this and to help people do this, to motivate.
To realize the importance of food and the impact that it has.
It impacts your whole life, every second of your life. What opportunities come your way, how people react to you.
Yeah. It impacts so many deep parts of your life, and it is essential to all humans, food.
That's right.
And just thinking about it that way, you don't have to take any diets, just being conscious of what you put in your mouth
Yeah.
is a big step.
The biggest step is being willing to do. You see, people aren't willing. Everybody wants the end result. They want to be slim, or they want to be attractive, or they want to look. I have dealt with people people think that if you're motivated, that you can do it. Motivation is a part of it. You have to be motivated. But if you're not willingness is the bottom line. And I've met people who can't play with their grandchildren because they can't bend their knees, and they can't get surgery on their knees because the doctors say you have to lose 30 pounds before we will operate on you. It's not safe otherwise. So they're very highly motivated, but they're not willing to do it. And that is, to me, the tragic part of it.
But to find that willingness, that willpower, you need a deep why. Oh yeah, she's showing us a picture right now.
That's me at 275.
What year is that?
42. I was 42 then.
This is Montreal, before North Carolina.
Yeah. And if you look at the expression on my face, how miserable I was.
I can't even recognize your face.
Of course
to be
not.
honest.
Yeah.
I can't.
You know?
Doesn't seem
And
like it.
look at the misery. I was unhappy all the time. Look, how happy can you be carrying all that weight?
Yeah.
You're carrying it with you. It's besides the physical aspect of it. It's mental, right?
Yes,
At that
all
point.
of mental,
100%
very
mental.
100%. Yeah,
It's a burden on you.
It's torture being that fat. Maybe not for other people, but I've never met a fat, happy person, or a person who didn't care about it.
At some
People are
point.
always talking about diet and going on diets, but staying on it.
Yeah. And I wanna ask you, what do you think? What the importance is between a diet, what you put in your mouth, and exercise?
Now that's a good question. My experience on both diets is that if you eat properly and lie in bed, watch TV and read and do nothing else, you will still lose weight. I don't believe that exercise is necessary in order to lose weight. I know for a fact it isn't. That doesn't mean it's not desirable. Now, when I first saw Dr. Jackson and he gave me this list of things to eat, I said, what about exercise? I was dreading it, but he hadn't said a word because I was always very lazy. But he hadn't said a word about exercise. So I said, what about exercise? And he said, when you lose weight and start feeling healthy, you're going to want to exercise. So he didn't impose it on me. That was brilliant, really.
Yeah.
Because if you tell a fat person, especially a very fat person, that you not only have to radically change what you're eating, but also start running, it's more than they may be willing to take on. I think that's unfortunate to say you have to do both in order to lose weight. It's not true, and it's putting on the shoulders of somebody who feels awful. They're carrying all this weight. In the summer, they're sweaty. In the winter, it's asking too much at the beginning, I believe. I think by all means recommend it, but to say that if you don't do it, you won't lose weight is simply not true. So yes, it's good for you,
It all
obviously.
starts with nutrition. It's what
Yes, it
starts putting inside
That's
your body.
right.
And I've been in this journey for 3 years now, and both Andres and Brody too, that we are very conscious of what we put in our body. I mean, I am vegan,
Yeah,
and I'm 100% conscious of what I put in my body.
yeah.
And I'm trying to see, okay, now I need more experimentation is a big part of it too. Do you agree?
Oh, yes, and finding something you're willing to do.
Yeah.
You see, there's the two diets that I recommend are the two diets I know well, which is why I recommend them. But there is no shortage of good diets out there.
There's 1,000 million diets out there.
Yes, but they're not. A lot of them are, avoid them.
Oh, yeah.
I think that what you're looking for is something that's both healthy and effective. It produces results and it improves your health. And then the third thing that has to be a requirement is sustainability. You have to be willing and able to stay on that. Like if you're Italian and you have to have pasta, then don't go on a diet that says no starches.
Sustainable for you.
You know,
Exactly.
Yeah.
you have to pick one that you're willing to do forever.
Yeah.
which doesn't mean always. It doesn't mean like 24/7, 365, you're on it all the time. But you have to be willing to do it for the rest of your life, and occasionally you have something that's not on your plan. But otherwise, you're going to gain it back. You can't just do it, lose weight, and then go back to what you're doing.
Yeah. Or you put all that way back.
Again, I've done that too.
So, other than what you put in your body, is there any other passions that you have?
I believe in God. I believe in prayer. So I would say that would be bottom line for me. I was an atheist from the age of 16 to the age of 42, so I've been there too. But I do believe that makes a difference in your life.
Yeah, I agree. Something to it.
A
Believe
higher
in
power.
A component of spirituality, I think it's needed in life, regardless of what it is.
I mean,
what
to
it
think-
means to you, but
To think that we're at the top of the chain, I find ludicrous. You know, really.
Delusional. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I 100%.
You know?
I agree in respecting everyone, in starting with yourself, and then respecting everyone else around you, and also nature.
Yeah.
Do you go out in nature a lot?
When I'm outdoors, yeah, I don't go trekking or camping or any of those things.
Yeah.
No, but I'm outdoors. I walk pretty much daily.
Nice.
That's nice.
I sit out on the patio.
Yeah,
I'm
Victoria
outdoors.
is great for that. It's
Yeah.
easy
Yeah.
access to everything.
Yeah.
Public transit's good. You can just go
Yeah.
and move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
I'm very curious now. We're gonna turn a turning point here.
Okay.
So you're very passionate about food,
Yes.
right? And you're very conscious of what we are putting into our body.
Yes.
Now, before this recording session, you told us that you have an opinion of what they feed at old folks' home.
Yes. Well,
So
now that I'm an old
the-
folks
the
myself,
structure.
okay, I'll tell you what got me started on this. I decided, you see me and you see I've got energy and health, and I don't need to be in one of those residences, but I thought that it might not be a bad idea to go early and get to know people, and instead of waiting till I'm crawling on the floor and my family finds me and, has to find somewhere to put me.
You get to go and build
I
a
thought,
relationship.
that's right. Go now before you need to go. And so I went, and the place that I went to, you didn't have to take your meals, but you could. So for me, it was, well, I'm certainly going to cook for myself now because I know what I want. But down the road, as I, in fact, perhaps need help, I'll be able to get my meals there. So I ate a few meals there, and the meals were very tasty. Now, all these seniors' residences push their food, how delicious their food is. And it can be. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I've been to over a dozen of them. I just visit. Well, you can go. You can go and have lunch there and have a tour to just about all of them.
And
'Cause
you went for research purposes.
I went for research purposes. And I ate at all of them.
Cool. This is awesome.
And sometimes the meals were tasty, sometimes they weren't so much. But there's only one place that I found where they actually focus on healthy food. There's a couple that do a good job. And I will give the names of those who I thought. The Victorian, I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute, and the Cridge Center, which is volunteer run. I have a very high opinion of those. But the one that I moved to had a couple of meals there. But for example, one meal you had a choice of fish and chips or pizza. Those were your only two choices. So I thought, well, if I can get what I need here, because the chef made a very nice salad. With every meal, it was a nice salad. And the place could accommodate maybe 150, 200 people. So he was making a gigantic salad for 200 people. And I asked them, I said, I can make a whole meal out of a salad without the pizza and the fish and chips. If you can give me a big salad instead of just a side salad, I'd be happy with that for a meal. And they said, no, we can't do that. So I thought they misunderstood. And I said, well, I don't mean a separate, different salad, the same salad that you're making for 200 people, just give me more of it. And they said, no, we can't do that. I said, why not? Well, because if we do that for you, then tomorrow somebody else is going to want the chicken leg instead of the chicken thigh. Or we cannot customize it at all. Which means that if you have diabetes and you can't eat sugar, well, too bad. If you have high blood pressure and you shouldn't have salt, too bad. And so I knew there was no future for me there. And I left. Then I started thinking about it. And thinking, first I approached it from the point of view of someone like me who's a potential resident of one of these places. And I was all up in arms. Here I'm older, I have health issues, and I can't get my needs met. But then I started thinking, well, why not? Why can't they do it? And I started interviewing people at these places to find out what made it difficult. So I spoke to the Chef Raymond at the Victorian, and I also spoke to the executive director, Jake, at the Victorian, and I asked, why can't you do it? What makes it impossible to customize the meals to the needs of the seniors who are coming here with health issues? Well, I really learned a lot. It's not that easy. First of all, so I was thinking, well, let's say this guy has diabetes and he shouldn't have sugar. Why can't you give him a sugar-free diet? Well, yeah, you can. But what if he is also allergic to garlic? Right? And what if this lady has diabetes, but she can't eat peanuts? How minutely can it be customized in an institution that has 100+ residents? You know, how feasible is it? Then there's staffing, finding knowledgeable people. Then this was an issue that I had never thought of, cross-contamination. For example, if someone is celiac and can't have bread, and there's a few crumbs left in the toaster or on the tray that the dishwasher washes, it is impossible to avoid it. So I said, well, how about if you had a buffet and then all the different foods were out there and all the ingredients were itemized? Well, then you've got all these people with wheelchairs and walkers who cannot go up to the buffet.
Right.
So what are you going to have? People running back and forth, taking their orders, scooping it out. You don't know how much the person wants or how. So, you know, what seemed to be an easy answer was not an easy answer. Jake said to me that the only way he could see it being 100% perfect would be if you had a boutique senior residence for maybe 10 or 12 people. With everybody you have the celiacs on one floor and the diabetics on another floor and the people with high blood pressure on another floor, each with their own kitchen. Even then, if they get in the elevator, are they, so I now do see that it is extremely challenging and probably can't be done perfectly, but it can be done better.
I agree.
And here I want to put in a recent experience. I went to the Seniors Expo, which takes place every March in the Perks Arena. And I walked up and down the aisles looking at all the different exhibits, because people, funeral homes and the other exhibits. and that's who's there. And also there are all the different seniors' residences. And with the exception of one, and here again I'll put in a good word for the Victorian because I want to honor and respect the work that I see them doing. I went there. I don't mean I went there, I went there to visit. So with only that exception, all the others had cookies and brownies out as part of their display to show how delicious the food was. I was appalled, honestly. I was really just appalled.
I 100% agree.
The one display from the Victorian, it looked like a Christmas tree, and it was studded with pieces of fresh fruit in all different colors. It was gorgeous. And I thought that would be the first place that I would investigate if I were looking. So encouraging all seniors residences to not just go for tasty, and
It
to
can be
also be
misleading
aware.
as well, you know, it's just not, it's not what you want it to be. It's not the truth to 100% showing that, you know.
Well, what do you mean? It doesn't.
It's not like it, by giving
the brownies and the,
exactly. I don't think that could be misleading to an extent, showing people that that's what they offer.
yes,
in
but
general.
that's what they're obviously thinking is going to attract.
gonna sell.
It's going to sell.
But it's selling.
Exactly.
It's not showing the people that need those services what the reality will be.
No,
You know.
but and in fact, forget where I was going. You got to talk. I forget where I was going.
We're talking about.
It's a part of being older is you forget where you were going.
Yeah. Well, you forgot Brody after a phone call. I 100% agree with that. And something that my wife and I are trying to do, are trying to think about for our future.
How
is,
about your grandparents? You guys must have grandparents.
Yeah.
All right.
We would love for them to have beautiful.
You know, this is it. The generations coming up, even my generation, because very few people of my age are in seniors' residences. It's mostly people 80s, 90s. People who are well informed, who know about brown rice and healthy eating, are not going to be happy with the pulled pork with gravy. So, and you guys who very often are the ones who are looking at these residences for your parents or your grandparents, you know your parents' health problems.
Yeah.
You're going to want your parents to. You're going to want to. I want these residences to understand that they're going to have to change if they're going to have viability down the road.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I wouldn't go to one unless I had to, unless I knew I could get my. I'm not going to choose between pizza and fish and chips.
No, you refuse.
I'd rather hire somebody to live in.
Yeah.
And
cook for you.
That's right.
And take care of you.
For the
That's
same
another
money.
solution. What do you think of that?
I think it's a good solution.
Yeah, having people come to your home and taking care of you.
Yeah.
I think that's a good
That's the
solution
best.
too.
If you need something personalized, I think that's what you need to go, because otherwise it's not sustainable.
But
Yeah.
then the issue there is there's a shortage of nurses. Right.
Well,
It doesn't have to be a
Exactly.
nurse.
And there's
to-
no social aspect
a
to that
healthcare.
either.
No, that's right. You see, that's
It's
that's
challenging
exactly right.
to have both.
You need the community.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to be isolated in your
No,
home.
you're just
Exactly.
gonna be
And you
alone.
may need care more than just food.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Yeah. But I think that it's totally feasible. I think that there's totally a way to do it. It's just that is not behind the minds of the people.
Yeah.
Of the people
They're
creating
not
these
motivated
facilities.
to do that. They need people in there that want to implement these plans, that
That's right.
feel enthusiastic like yourself
That's right.
about implementing these new plans in senior.
And you know
living.
what?
It goes beyond that as well. It's not just a matter of how much you want to do it or how enthusiastic you are. There's a cost of it, and there's the resources that are needed.
That's
Right.
right.
And if there is
Right.
no funding and there is no way to get those resources,
Yeah.
doesn't matter how willing you are to
Yeah.
implement
That's
these
right.
changes.
Because
it's
I'm sure those identities have looked into implementing
Costing of these
Yeah.
things.
of these
And
things.
if everybody else is cheaper and you have to charge a lot more for this, then can you
the
sustain
precedence.
Yeah.
as a business?
But
it's not sustainable.
yeah, it is not sustainable. I agree. But I know for a fact that in Canada there is more consciousness with regards to food. Like if you look at the Canadian 2019 Health Food Guide, have you
Oh,
looked at it?
very impressive.
Very
Yeah.
impressive,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
A lot of fruits and
reduce animal
vegetables, no dairy,
Yeah.
like
And they weren't afraid to take away
meats.
and the things that are harmful but that are businesses, Canadian
Right.
businesses. They weren't afraid of
Dairy
the corporate
industry.
world.
Yeah, they weren't
Yeah, I was
afraid.
very impressed with
I was
that.
very impressed, and I was very
Yeah.
proud of
Yeah.
Canada
Yeah.
as a nation that they were putting more effort into
The
the
truth.
knowledge on food, right?
Yeah.
Truth.
Yeah.
And it'll still, and I believe that it's gonna keep health consciousness with regards to food is gonna keep
Absolutely.
increasing, and hopefully we'll see more
Yeah.
old folks' homes with beautiful customized food programs,
Yeah.
as well as early childhood education. It
Yes.
starts from the bottom to the top.
Oh, this is another of my big things.
I know.
If you know, they feed kids the sugary cereals and they say, okay, you can have a treat. A treat is somehow something that's sweet. Why is that a treat? And they give the kids the desire for the foods that 10 years later they're going to say, oh, you shouldn't eat that. You should go on a diet.
Yeah.
Feed kids the way you want them to eat for the rest of their
I
lives.
agree. That's what my wife and I are realizing right now, that no early childhood education center out there provides a customized, beautiful food program for the children.
That's fascinating.
You know, so I think that a lot as well as the old folks program is a beautiful change that is to come.
It's on each end of the spectrum.
It's
That's
at
right.
each end of the
It's
spectrum.
throughout. Do you know the greatest government spending is on healthcare?
Yeah.
If they, what I would love to see, okay, so if I had a charity, this is what my charity would be called. It would be Feed the Fat, okay?
Feed the fat.
Yes, it would be Feed
That's
the
a
Fat.
really
And
interesting
the
name.
government, at its government's expense,
Yeah.
would feed, they would have, just like we have soup kitchens, anybody who was overweight who wanted to eat there could eat there for free. Right?
wow.
You would save money, the money that it would
I
cost
agree.
to feed them, you would save on health care.
Yeah.
And you'd have built-in support right there because everybody there is there for the same reason. So I would love to see places like that where anybody could come and eat like for free and eat the right thing and get healthy.
Yeah,
That's a really
I
cool
agree.
project.
Isn't
idea.
that a great idea?
It is a great idea.
And the government should pay for it. It would save a bundle.
I agree.
I
It
would
would
hop
save
on board.
trillions of
Trillions of dollars.
healthcare.
And the health care of your citizens who would be productive way beyond current capacity instead of being a drain on the system.
Right.
I agree.
Because what's coming ahead, the seniors are, they're more and more, I think the centenarians are the fastest growing demographic from what I understand.
Yeah.
If they're not healthy, they're just going to be a drain on everybody, on their families, on the country.
On the country's gonna have more taxes in order to pay for more health care.
That's right. And everybody's going to be sick.
Pharmaceutical bonuses, yeah.
And
I
it's
think
all,
it all
it's
starts
all
with
preventable.
It's all preventable.
I think it all starts with food.
I do.
Your whole life revolves around food.
Food.
Might
That's
as well.
right.
Yeah, and
That's
people
right.
don't
Be conscious
value
about
the
it.
relationship with food enough.
Yeah.
And think it's just kind of, it's whatever. It's just like, oh, I need food, and then you go get it and eat.
I think commercial interests are, the companies that are now making money by selling junk can make every bit as much money by selling the right thing.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
There is a market for it, but not fake stuff. Like I bought some of these, just as to look and see what they offer. Some of these frozen low-cal meals. You look at the picture on the cover, chock full of chicken. You get in there, honest to God, there was one that had less than a tablespoon of chicken in it. I measured it, less than a tablespoon of chicken. All the rest was gravy, and it's doable if the right food was offered. I think the biggest problem is access to the right food, because you can't have everybody at home soaking the beans and spending hours cooking. Most people work, men and women mostly work.
I agree
If the right food was accessible on every street corner and affordable, I think people would buy it and they would take it home and feed it to their kids. Instead of selling the wrong food, sell the right food, you make as much money,
The same
only
amount
you're
of money.
doing good instead of harming.
Oh my God, this is
It's
really
a matter of
crazy.
accessibility.
Yeah. And I think also, well, in the States, you lived in the States.
I did.
Every corner, there's a fast food restaurant.
That's right.
Every other corner, there's a fast
And how
food
many
restaurant.
fat people do you see in the States?
Every
All
other
over.
person's
I
fat.
thought, and not just fat.
Obese.
Overweight.
Like,
Big.
big.
And how healthy can that be?
Not at all.
Not at all.
And it's brutal because it's all super easy to get. It's all accessible,
That's
but
right.
there's no healthy.
Easily accessible,
It's about what you
affordable
make
food.
accessible to
Yeah,
people. You
I
know?
lived in
Accessible
a
and
small.
convenient.
Exactly.
How convenient it is.
Yeah.
I have a dream restaurant.
Yeah. What is it?
What's your dream restaurant?
It's called Well Hello.
Well, hello.
And the reason it's called Well Hello is because it makes you well, and it's also friendly. Because even though you can sit by yourself, there are tables for 6 inside,
Yeah.
and you just join other people.
And
You
you
come
just
in and you sit
mingle.
down, and everything is itemized. I have this all worked out. If anybody wants to start this, I'm
Yeah,
ready.
let's
I
get
can
on it.
Contact Judy right now.
Yeah.
We can get it going in a week.
Angel investor.
Honest to God, I have it
You have
all.
a lot of projects in your head.
Yeah, we gotta
Well,
hop on board, Manny.
I have a lot of dreams,
Yeah.
and I know how things should be.
Yeah.
The menu would be instead. You see, like if you order a sandwich now, okay,
Yeah.
it comes with fries or a salad or soup. It comes with, but what if you just want the simple thing? So in my restaurant, everything is itemized separately. So you can order this vegetable and this fruit. It's entirely different way of doing it.
Entirely
All-
customized.
You customize it.
Yeah,
You have
exactly.
maybe 100 items on the menu, but they're individual. Like carrots is individual, yogurt is individual. I shouldn't say yogurt because I personally don't eat it. And you cobble together the meal yourself, and that's what they bring you. And everything healthy, and everything has approximately 100 calories.
Everything is
So if you order 5 items, you're eating 500,
That's 500
calories. Yeah,
That's a great idea.
it is.
well,
There you
hello.
go. Well, hello. If
That's
anyone
catchy.
out there wants
That's really
to,
catchy.
well, hello.
I have
go
it.
to Well Hello?
I honestly have it all out there.
I believe you.
You know, because I lived at the Rice House for 15 years. I know how these places should be run.
Yeah.
And
You know, you have the experience
I
behind
do,
it.
and I
And
definitely,
you have the willpower.
I have great desire
Yeah.
to do it.
So
and I have a lot of energy.
I got a question. So besides the rice diet,
Yeah.
I read on your website you were involved with another business and they're still operating.
Oh, the
correct?
Single Gourmet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, I went to Club Med once. I don't know if people still go to Club Med. In any case, as you arrive, they put you at tables with whoever else is already there, and you always have good conversation. So I thought that we should be able to do that. So this was a singles organization that I started, where you became a member, and then I went to different restaurants and I negotiated meals, usually on a Monday or Tuesday night that was, slow for the restaurant. And I would bring in 30, 40 people, men and women, all singles looking to meet each other. And they would have their meals and they'd meet each other over a meal, which is not sitting in a bar,
Right.
or sitting home alone.
Yep.
You have to eat anyway. And so it was good for the restaurants because they got busy on a quiet night.
100%.
It was good for men and women looking to meet each other. And my profit was like $1 or $2 over the cost of the meal. So if that was, and that's, if you Google the Single Gourmet, you will see there's still I don't know if there are 20 or 30 of them still in business.
And you still get
Is this in
money from
Victoria?
that?
Oh, no, I haven't had nothing to do with it since I went to North Carolina. One thing that does stick in my craw a little bit is that the New York chapter says that the gentleman who I hired to run it there started it, and he did not.
You started it.
Yeah, so let me correct that for the record. I created it, I invented it, I developed it, I opened up all those branches personally. And even though I have nothing to do with it, I'm proud of the fact that people met and got married because through there.
That is so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you start in Victoria or where did you
I
start?
started in Montreal.
In Montreal.
Yeah.
What about doing that here?
I'm not passionate about doing that. No.
Yeah,
You're
moved on.
already over.
No, we're well, hello, Manny.
Well, hello.
Yeah, well, I'd like to do Well Hello. I'd like to see a chain of Well Hellos, and I'd like to see Feed the Fat communities everywhere where people can go and get free meals.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with that. That is beautiful.
I'm writing down your ideas to add to the show notes. I'm not stealing them.
Well, you can get together with her and you can develop it, Brody.
Exactly. Feed the fat.
So you,
That's so smart.
yeah. So take me through a day in your life right now.
Oh, well, you're asking at a good time. I'm very grateful for my life now. I'm happy, I'm healthy. Life seems so full of possibilities and excitement. I mean, coming here is fun for me.
We're having so much fun right now.
Oh,
Seeing your
yeah,
eyes,
yeah,
they're
good.
sparkling.
Yeah, I mean, I'm blessed with good health. I don't take a single medication. I'm 77 years old. I have
Wow.
energy to burn. If I have an old diary, I should have brought that.
Yeah.
From 1969, where I listed the symptoms that I was feeling then.
Really?
All right, that's 2069, 79, 89, 90, 30 years ago. I don't have any, I had flat feet, I had to wear orthotics. I don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
Everything is perfect.
Yeah.
Just so when you have good health, you're happy. My family is healthy. I'm interested in a variety of things. I feel very alive. I feel very blessed.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Health is
Bottom line.
the most beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Can push you to live life.
Yeah.
Right?
And it can take away much of your pleasure in life without it,
Yeah.
especially pain.
I agree. Well, that's powerful right there. So if you had a message out there that you wanted to tell the world, what would it be?
I would say, number one, God makes a huge difference. Number two, how you eat will affect every second of your life. If you want to lose weight, it is doable if you are willing to do it, what it takes. And if you're not willing to do what it takes, you might as well forget about it. Stop looking for the right diet and the best diet if you're not willing to do it. And I would say that I'm available to help in any way possible for anyone who wants my help. That's it.
That is beautiful. Perfect. Yeah. And you close your eyes to do that. That means that you were in touch with your soul.
Well,
wasn't it?
I prayed before coming here to. It's so easy to think, well, what do I want to say and what do I want to make sure I communicate? And I don't do that. I just, like when I went on Oprah Winfrey, and you know that 8 million people are watching, and it's going to make a difference in whether your book sells or not. And the temptation is to sort of plan what you want to say. I never did. I would just say a prayer before going on. God, give me the words, and whatever comes out, because it's the safest, best way to go. And then you don't second guess yourself.
And
You
it's
don't
real,
think,
it's
gee, I
honest,
should have
it's
said that.
from the bottom of your heart. It's what it is. It's who you are.
It comes through. It comes through.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what starting this podcast. It's funny because when we first started, we would have like these big long structures of how we were what we were gonna discuss and whatnot, and here we are now with nothing.
Yeah.
And we find like that.
Let it just
works
be.
better. It
Yeah.
works better. Yeah, obviously we were gonna do some research and know what we're gonna be talking about, but we're not gonna be relying on a script and sticking to a script. It just kind of flows out
I love
raw
having-
and naturally.
I love having conversations. You
Oh,
learn
yeah.
so much from them.
Yeah.
And you see people that inspire you to be better and to learn different things about life. They inspire you to keep going. They inspire you to be healthy like yourself and just enjoy life.
And also know that there are rocky times. I mean, my 3 years of depression where I wanted to die and I would have killed myself, but for the fact that I had this aged mother and an old dog. And I thought, I can't do it to them.
Yeah.
But I also thought, well, they probably won't last all that long, and then I'll be able to commit suicide. I was looking forward to when I could do it, But so dark days pass too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's interesting how people manage to go over those humps.
yeah.
Yeah. Did you find that you started relying on God when that happened?
No, well, like I said, I was an atheist, and then when I was in North Carolina and I lost weight, I was looking for things to do, and I saw a poster on a billboard, and it said something about forgiveness. I thought it was a lecture of some kind. I thought, oh, okay, I'll go to hear that, and it turned out to be something called A Course in Miracles, and there were about 30 or 40 people gathered around, talking about this book, A Course in Miracles, which was all about God, and what amazed me, because I always thought of religious people as sort of being very uptight, refined, and not the kind of people that I could relate to comfortably,
Yeah.
And these people, first of all, they were very smart and they were funny, and some of them swore. I couldn't believe that religious people swore.
Like real people,
It was just like
it's real
people. I couldn't believe it. And
I agree with you 100%. It's just
so I started, I liked them, and I started going there, and then I started thinking, but I was very clearly an atheist. I was it had been 30 years as an atheist. I thought people who believed were silly and foolish, and and then I thought, well, I always defined myself as an atheist, not as an agnostic, because to me, everybody is an agnostic. Nobody knows.
Yeah, exactly.
So I felt it was intellectually dishonest not to take a position. And then I thought, well, I always took the position of an atheist, supposing I take the position of a believer. So it was strictly cerebral. It wasn't like an honest belief. It was, well, okay, I'll try.
Let's try it out.
Yeah, I'll just try it out. And what happened is that he proved himself. He proves himself over and over and over. So there'd be no moving me now from believing. And so that was
I agree with you. I'm a believer as well, and it's like you said, it's not like you're uptight and you have this image of people that are believers that are different. It's just it's whatever it's in you and whatever feeds you. It's your soul. You know?
It is. I think certainly as I've grown older, I wouldn't want to not believe in God and be alone in the world, because you're never alone, and there's always guidance. There's always,
it's
you just have
comforting,
to,
it's guidance, it's some sort of security, everything, whatever way you want to look at it.
Yeah.
You know.
It is. There's always someone there with you.
Yeah.
And that you have us now. You know what I mean? You can rely on us whenever you want. Anything.
You
Judy.
guys, you mean?
Yeah.
Really?
Us three, whenever you need something.
Even if you just
Judy.
want to talk.
Yeah.
You have her number.
Yeah. Get this out to CBC.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was telling me about a program.
Somebody told me that the CBC runs podcasts that they find interesting. So I don't know whether they search or whether people submit it.
Yeah.
But whether it's this interview or any of your other interviews, forward it to them, see what then you get national exposure.
I think if we were going to go to CBC, we would approach them with this one, because this one I feel
I had so much fun.
I've so much fun. I feel so connected to you. I feel strong belief in what we're talking about, and I just feel like
it's a national issue anyway.
And it is a big national,
whether it's the weight or the seniors, these are national.
And I think it's bigger than that. It can go with we were talking about, early childhood, and just educating people.
Very much so.
Importance of how important the relationship with your consumption of food is.
Yeah.
Andres, do you have anything about this whole conversation that you missed that you want to ask?
No, I think I've asked my questions as we added my comments here and there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Right.
I just feel good. I feel content.
I feel very content. Thank you.
How do you feel, Judy?
Yeah,
I feel content and happy.
Yeah?
That's good.
It's been a lot of fun.
You can see it.
I feel very happy too.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for us?
No.
No?
No.
Don't come as the relationship builds, right?
Say that again?
As the relationship builds.
Yes. Well, that would be, frankly, I'd like to have more young people in my life. So by all means, call me anytime, drop by, meet my dog.
Here
We are.
Yeah.
Do you would you be interested in having like a dinner with us?
Sure.
Nice, beautiful dinner.
Yeah.
We'll see
With his wife, my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Well, sure, that would be fun. I'm open to anything.
Yeah.
Really, I just am open to anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I answer at classified ads.
And cold call us. Next time, tell me to put my number in there. I know.
What I found interesting, Adventure for Knowledge, there's fork right in the middle of it. FORK.
Oh.
Because of the 4K knowledge.
Ah,
Yeah,
I
so-
didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
There you go. Food is even in our
Even in that, yeah.
even in our title.
So,
Well, thank you so much.
well, I would love to continue having you in my life. It would be lovely.
That would be awesome.
All right. I was recently having computer problems, and I took my computer to a place called Priority One. This is priority with the number 1.
Yeah.
I wanted to send them an email, and I sent it by accident to something called Priority One ONE. I get an email back from the woman who runs this place, and she says you must have meant the other place, and just want to let you know it didn't get where you were going. So I thought that was nice of her to do. She
very
could have
nice,
just deleted it. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have known the difference. And so I Googled and I saw what she did, and she's in marketing. She owns this firm, and there's a bunch of young people who are in this firm. And so, because I'm always thinking of all these ideas in marketing, so I contacted her and I said, take a look at my website and tell me if you think there's anything where you have a place to play. So she looked at it and she said, well, she'd like to come and talk to me. It's a free consultation.
Yeah.
So she came and we had a very impressive young woman.
Yeah.
So and her husband is in the catering business. He prepares meals at home for people who want them, which is, obviously a potential interest to me if I didn't do my own cooking.
Yeah.
But I mentioned her to you because she does marketing.
Yeah.
So if you phone her or contact her, just priority1one.ca.
Yeah, 100%.
Free consultation. She's lovely. It doesn't hurt to have a contact. So I'm suggesting for you, for adventuring for knowledge, to see if there's some kind of
I agree.
benefit for you.
That's
And
one thing that we're ramping up.
Yeah, that's one thing that we haven't really been doing fully because we both don't like social media.
Yeah.
I'm on social media, but we're trying to limit our time on it.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of contradicts our values. So
Well, it
we've
goes
been,
beyond that, right? Like
Marketing is not
social
social
media.
media.
yeah,
There's
right.
a lot of
We're marketing right now through our content and through
It started, I think.
advertisements in the paper. Yeah, there's a lot more than social media.
So
But do contact her because it doesn't cost you anything for a free
Priority1.ca.
consultation and speak to her. I forget her name, but she's the head owner. She's the owner of it. And look at their website, see if you get a feel for it. But lovely young woman and
What's her
coming
name?
from the right, I don't remember her name.
But she's lovely.
Yeah, well, she came to my house and she'll come to see you.
Yeah.
And if you are going to look at marketing, I think the head and heart, she's got it all. I liked her. So
Thank
just
you.
putting in a good word there.
where can we find you now that we're talking
Me?
about
Yeah.
Well,
social media wise out there?
oh
for
no,
people?
I'm not doing. I have my website.
What's your website? What's the
Yeah.
name of your website?
Nextstepweightloss.ca.
Nextstepweightloss.ca. There you go.
Well, this says Next Step Counseling, but it's the same thing. It'll bring you to the same. It'll bring you to Next Step Weight Loss.
Okay. Next
I am a
week.
counselor. That is what I am by trade. That's my education. Is I'm a counselor.
Cool.
I can have a beautiful conversation with you anytime. I can see you
You're
have
welcome.
all the skills.
Yeah,
You're
you're welcome.
open.
Yeah.
So thank you
yeah.
very much. And thank you everyone for listening. If you like this episode, you can follow us on adventuringforknowledge.com. You can follow us in all podcasting apps, including Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcast. We also have a YouTube channel. And we have all social media kinds out there, so you can reach us out through there.
And please remember to be active in your community. Brody, come on. Keep going.
Remember to smile.
Remember to be kind and respect yourself, others, animals, and a beautiful planet.
And please, never stop adventuring for knowledge.
Until next time.
Peace.